All right, new video time. Got me a cup of coffee here. And Phoebe's got her squeaky toy, so you'll be hearing that in the background too. So we got that going for us. Okay, so this is from Eagle's blog. And they were playing a practice round. And there were 4 players that some people say, oh, that's spin and throw, but that's not spin and throw. And I'm almost reached the point now where spin and throw is simply the 3 circles and everybody's the 3 circles. And that's just the end of that. I mean, everybody's basically throwing with a rotary motion and expelling the disc from the center of their chest. And I plan on proving that. So we have the little helicopter, my personal favorite. Okay. So this is Paige Pierce, obviously. They're all throwing pretty much a dead straight little turnover. This is a tiny little hyzer. As you can see, her plane is slightly tilted, like normal athletic spine angle. So she's throwing, people would say, oh, this is an anhyzer. I'm like, no, this is a hyzer that flips over and flexes and then comes back. It's a little stock shot, we like to call it when we're playing here in Tulsa. It's like your go-to shot. So what does she do? She puts the disc in front of her chest, sets on her back foot, and the back foot is relatively straight, about the same as walking. And now she will close her shoulders. She closes her shoulders. This is something I'm going to actually do a little video on. As she closes her shoulders, she's striding toward the target. The stride is relatively straight. Actually, oh goodness, I meant to show that. Let's back up. I'm sorry. I'm gonna cut myself off. I'm gonna back up a little bit. Okay, so she's essentially gonna throw it at this tree. Now look at this tee box. The tee box is going over there. Now look at where she is. Let's just see where she is. Huh. Look at that. Everybody says, oh, you got to get way over here. You got to get way over here. Run this way to get power to come over the top of it. Well, no. She's lined up. Her body line is right here. And her throwing line is right here. We'll see why. So we'll just step forward. All right. You can see she went from the left back side of the tee box to the center of the tee box, and her walk line was parallel to the line she threw on. And this is a full power shot. See if I can bump the quality up a little. All right. Looking a little milky there, wasn't it? Okay. So she's extending her shoulder joint to get her arm fully extended out away from her chest. And it begins while she's still winding up. And it, in the case, it does end up being at full extension as she's stepping forward, but it's because you're using the stride forward to kind of stretch the shoulder joint But the point I wanted to make was, even if that were a big deal of getting in the quote-unquote reach back position, if that were some huge big deal, she's coiling. She's striding toward the target and closing her shoulders at the same time. Most people by this point already have their shoulders wide open because they start with their shoulders. This is the thing that people are missing, is that the good players are actually closing their shoulders as they're striding forward to load up the tension between this rear hip joint, all their momentum. She's also holding her spine back and not tilting her spine forward. But I wanted to show you another thing. Okay, so now she's actually started into her kick. There's a kick. And her foot is not planted. In fact, her kick started, well, technically it would have started right there. Because she can't throw over the top because she's still coiling. I mean, I really just need to get this into people's brains, especially the guys that aren't as flexible. The two things have to happen at once. Basically, the upper body's going backwards and the lower body's going toward the target. So now her shoulders are closed, and she's still holding them closed, and her foot's almost firmly planted on the ground. Now her shoulder's just starting to open, and she's fully planted on the lead foot, and this hip is already well gone. She closes the small circle with her elbow, and now she will expel the disc as it comes around. She's fully into the tuck, which is the small circle. She's coming around. Her hips are well in front of her upper body. Her shoulders are pointed here, and her hips are pointed about here. So that's about 45 plus degrees. And then she will expel the disc straight out of her chest, uncock the elbow, which is the small circle, and then the disc will pivot in the mini circle, expelling the disc straight out away from her hand, because she's not trying to throw the disc over here. She's throwing the disc over here, and she's lined up over here. That way, she doesn't have any nose up or nose down. It's a completely neutral release, slightly hyzer, parallel exactly on plane. Boom. Right at the tree. All right, so we see the disc being expelled. Her arm is at full extension. Of course, her shoulder joint is over here. It's not in line with the target. It's well open. Her shoulders are well open. And this shoulder joint, the root of the handle of the club, if you will, is rotating backwards. And she's at full extension. And then she goes full helicopter onto the plane. Same plane. This was all done on one plane. And she even lifts her other arm to help her slow down. 3 circles. And that's all there is to it. It's so much simpler when you start thinking about these planes and circles, because that's what it actually is. Then you'll understand how to work the disc on different angles, because simply all we do would be to change this plane from here to, say, here, or even maybe to here. But this is something that I may need to add to the swing into the tuck drill, is the idea that we need to be coiling the upper body while we're striding toward the target and stretching out the shoulder. That's another thing, this appearance of this stretched shoulder. You can see how far she's stretched out at this apex point that people call the reach back. And that's true, it does stretch out more there, but I would argue, I think quite successfully, that she was stretching this shoulder is already protruded. See how this one's back and this one's forward, this one's rounded forward, because she's reached around. It's not really that, but it's kind of feels like reaching around yourself slightly. So one of the first things she did was take her shoulder joint from being more in a passive position right here, and now she reaches around her chest. Like if you lifted your arm and placed it kind of across your chest slightly, but it's more like I demonstrated in the other video, and it's kind of like you're just pointing at something and you just keep pointing and keep pointing and keep pointing and keep pointing. And that gets your hand as far away from your chest in the center. So again, let's go back to, she's already striding to the target. She used an X step. You could do this without an X step. You could do it with a 1 step. You can do it with an X step. It's exactly the same principle. This was a swing around. The upper body's going backwards. Her lower body's going forwards. Sorry to be repetitive, but I'm just going to beat this to death. The lower body is complete. Left side is fully gone by this point. I mean, it's well on its way. It's already moved significant amount. And now the whip snap of the counter swing draws the disc inward, and also leads to it being expelled outward. Now, she does distort her plane a little bit right there. I mean, it's what she does. I would be curious to see if maybe, what if we got rid of that? Well, it is on plane. I don't know. It's on plane because here's her shoulder plane. Just slight reroute. Her arm is at full extension. It appears short because this shoulder joint is further back than when she started. Because she's, as the small circle, the elbow joint is being popped open, it is being popped open by the rotation of the body. So this shoulder joint goes backwards in a simple rotation. It's not a mechanical move. It's simply just rotation around a fixed point, her head. She has never at any point tried to move her head forward or her spine forward either. I think what I'm going to do is maybe split these up. Well, I tell you what I am going to do. I wanted to show Conrad, because everybody says that Conrad is a puller. So let's just see if he's a puller. Interesting. Did he pull that? I don't know if he did or not. I don't know if he pulled or not. Did he? Oh, I don't know. Let's watch that again. Oh, let's just see. Let's just see. Now, James Conrad has an over-the-top move built into his throw. And that leads to a lot of confusion as to what he's doing. So he throws his spine forward violently. and rotates his arm downward to throw the nose down. But I would make the observation. That's kind of cool. Come on, YouTube. You can do it. Come on, baby. There we go. There we go. Phoebe's like, who are you talking to, man? Here we go. Let's come back. So there's the over-the-top spine move, which is, I would not recommend for normal hips. Okay, so I've discussed this multiple times. Okay, that's so we start out. Let's see if we can see the spine angle when he starts out. Okay, so his spine angle is right hip high, left hip low, right shoulder low, left shoulder low, right shoulder high, and then he converts that and goes opposite of that. But that being the case, that being said, I mean, we're just going to look and see if he's on the circle when he throws. Is he on the circle? So here, James Conrad would have exactly the same position as all the other professionals, which is tilted back. Difference is he converts this to a massive spine throw forward, and as a result has to do some interesting things with his hand and arm to compensate because he goes off of the plane. All right. But the question is he pulling across his chest? I don't know. Is he? I can tell you one thing. He's got his shoulder joint completely extended. Look at where his chin is and look where his shoulder is. Look how closed he is. He's closed 110 degrees and he's striding toward the target. He's actually continuing to close. Closing, still closing. Still closed. Okay. Now he has to throw his spine. So he will appear, his shoulder joint will start to open ahead of his lower body. This is where his throw is different. And I see this a lot in students, and I unteach it, frankly. James Conrad is awesome. He's awesome. He's beyond awesome. But I wouldn't try to copy his throw. Anyway, so the disc comes into his chest. And then he rotates this shoulder out of the way. And the disc expels to the left at 10 o'clock, straight out of his chest. And you can also see his thumb has counter-rotated this way. That's how he gets the nose back down. So, fast motion. Let's watch it again. Behind, forward. And he uses that momentum to throw the disc, but I would make the case that it's simply just slowing him down. He has more gas in the tank if he could get rid of some of that, but he's totally a field player, so. But you can see this is not a lawnmower pull across the chest. He's throwing out to the left. That's a little bit of a push shot, but still, even for him with his long run up, he's going from right to left, which is funny. Look at that. He actually runs from the back corner, but then straightens up. Hey, let's look at that again. Ooh. And goes whoop and goes straight. So he's not running to this corner. He's actually running over there and then straightening up. This is over 20 minutes. I'm going to stop there. This is going to be pros who throw on the 3 circles video 1. Join my Patreon for lessons. It's Patreon Spin and Throw. Join the Spin and Throw group on Facebook, Spin and Throw Disc Golf. Thank you. Like and subscribe. As always, to undo the people who come here to unlike all my videos. Thank you very much. Bradley Walker. Have a good day. Bye-bye.